It's now less than a month until Inauguration Day, but some people are wondering, will President Obama ever actually leave? This is what the president told David Axelrod for his podcast, The Axe Files.
The majority does buy into the notion of a one America that is tolerant and diverse and open. I'm confident that if I had run again and articulated it, I think I could have mobilized a majority of the American people to rally behind it.
He thinks he could have won. Democratic strategist Jessica Ehrlich joins us tonight from Florida. Jessica, it's good to see you. It almost sounds Trumpian. If I ran again, you would get tired of all this winning. I'm Barack Obama, and I would keep on winning.
Well, I think actually the president's been saying that through the last at least 6 months. I mean, he did have, record-breaking approval ratings, especially in this last term and this last year as president. And I think he's been very confident and expressed this over and over, as we've seen in the last year, that if he could, run again and be doing it on his own, then things would be very different than they are right now.
But Jessica,
I mean, that being said, yeah.
Is that confidence or is that arrogance? Is that confidence or arrogance?
I think it's a little bit of both, but certainly he's, allowed that. He's had 8 years of being president with definitely setting records. He was the first African-American elected as president of the United States. I mean, he's done things that, no one else has done, whether you like them or not, and has really been able to achieve quite a bit during his time. And I think, he has a moment now where he can sort of look back on the last 8 years. And I think also now we're going to see him moving towards what his legacy will be and how he wants to structure that going forward, what things will look like. He's still relatively a young man, and there's a lot ahead of him. So what that looks like, will be interesting to see. But certainly, I think he's going to spend a lot of time sort of protecting his legacy.
Well, Jessica, I listened closely a moment ago when you said if he had been on his own, he could have won. It seems like you're suggesting, as other Democrats and Republicans have, that Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate, and if only Barack Obama didn't have that tether, if he ran directly against Donald Trump, you think he might have won?
Well, I mean, I think it's a possibility. I don't think that, Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate. I think it was a very difficult time. I think there was a lot of baggage and things where she got, took a lot of hits for it. There are a lot of issues that went into her campaign and why she lost. Certainly, this was an election unlike anything that we have seen, certainly in the last, century. Whether Obama would have been able to beat Donald Trump, there's a good possibility, but who can say how he would have handled the slings and arrows? I mean, there's a lot of animosity between those two men. However, they've really sort of seemed to put that aside. I mean, even Trump has said that during this transition, Obama has been nothing but gracious, that Michelle Obama has been very gracious. They've been very open and helpful to him and his transition team. So, I think now he's just sort of enjoying the glow of, his presidency being over, maybe no more gray hairs in the future.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned that positive transition, and Donald Trump has had a lot of good things to say about both Barack and Michelle Obama. Then you look at what happened at the UN. You look at Barack Obama now in this interview with David Axelrod, his old campaign manager and strategist, saying, look, I probably could have beaten Trump. It's no wonder Donald Trump a short time ago went on Twitter and said, quote, President Obama said that he thinks he would have won against me. He should say that, but I say no way. Jobs leaving, ISIS, O'Care, as in Obamacare, etc. I also find it intriguing. Listen, Barack Obama is now trying to say, look, I wasn't on the ballot. This was about Hillary Clinton, not me. Look what he said actually during the campaign we checked.
I may not be on the ballot this time, but everything we've done's been on the ballot.
So he said then to voters going to the polls, I'm not on the ballot, but my policies, my agenda, it's on the ballot. He said that both in the 2014 midterms and lost, and he said it in 2016, and Democrats lost, Jessica.
Well, there's a lot of issues that we've had as a party, certainly with a trickle-down, if you will, effect. We've had Obama running at the top of the ticket, and we've seen this ever since 2010. We have steadily continued to lose House seats, lose Senate seats, lose state majorities, whether they be in the state houses, Senate seats, and governorships. And it's a real concern for people. There's this sort of lack of translation of, he as a man, as an individual, was really someone who galvanized people. And I think Trump actually is the same way and can safely say that he won basically on that sort of cult of personality, if you will.
Yeah.
Whether that affects or helps other Republicans down the ticket is yet to be seen. The party itself, I think both political parties are really in a position of change, and how these men both affect them going forward. Donald Trump for Republicans, and will Obama be as engaged in the Democratic Party, and what our future looks like, it's really hard to say. I haven't seen any indications that he's really going to be that active, going forward.
That's right. Jessica Ehrlich, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll have to leave it there, but
Thanks.
that is a looming question with this interview saying, I could have beaten Trump. Is he really going to leave the stage, Barack Obama? Or I suspect we might be hearing from him in the days ahead. Good. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
I can't read it. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. We've got a big show on tap with all the latest on the Trump transition team developments, including the Russians. Did they interfere with our presidential election? But first, my opening statement. Look, it's time to take sides. The election is over. You're either with us or against us. That is, with the United States or against the United States. We have a new president-elect. His name is Donald J. Trump. So, move over Barack, move over Hillary, Harry, Jill, and all you namby-pamby, pathetic losers still crying in your grande double-shot skinny lattes. There was a time in this country when we united behind the flag in celebration of America's new president, our new leader. We all did so in 2008 when Barack Obama was elected. We had high hopes for a united country, irrespective of our politics. And it's time for the left, assuming they're capable, to show the same dignity and class to the 45th president-elect. But no. This week, the president himself, Barack Obama, announces his intention to investigate whether Russia interfered with the presidential election, assigning our intelligence agencies to conclude the task before he leaves office. Seriously? Why now, Mr. President? You've been watching the release of information from WikiLeaks for months. You have watched the release of Hillary Clinton's emails. In fact, some even were sent to you. You've watched the release of John Podesta's emails and the disturbing information contained therein. You've watched the double-talking mainstream media outed for providing questions to your hand-picked successor, Hillary Clinton, for months. And you never say a word. But now it finally hits you that your successor of choice has not been elected, which you yourself said would be a personal insult. So you now decide it's time to investigate. And the suspect, Russia. Why are you talking about this now? You had a chance to put an end to the hacking, the breaching, and the interference, assuming that it might impact the election before the election. We have the best metrics operations in the world. And if all the warning signs were there long before the election, and now a month later you wake up and you decide, not only are you going to investigate, but you're going to investigate Russia, using the same bozos, the ones who said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, the same bozos who said that we're defeating ISIS, the same intelligence geniuses who gave us the Benghazi BS, a politicized intelligence group. This isn't about the election, is it, Mr. President? This is about domestic politics. It's not about November 2016. It's about January 2017. And your attempt to prevent Donald Trump from the smooth transition of power and your inability to face the overwhelming Electoral College win that the American people gave him. Ironic, since you and your wannabe successor were so fired up that he might not quietly accept Hillary's ascension to power. So it fits that you say nothing about Jill Stein's phony recount nonsense, also backed by Ms. Hillary, and our wasted taxpayer dollars that will pay for it, and the division that it's creating. And query, why are you so obsessed with Russia? You who cut a deal and were made a fool of by the world's largest sponsor of terrorism, Iran. You know, the one that funds Hezbollah and Hamas, whose people yell death to America. You know, the ones you gave $150 billion to and secretly sent them another $400 million on pallets in an unmarked plane, and who knows how much more. But you're obsessed with the Russian, who at least is a Christian, who himself is obsessed with killing ISIS. A Russian who's had his own problems with Muslim terrorists, who told us twice about the Tsarnaev brother, the Boston bomber, that your administration was too dumb to follow through on, with deadly consequences to Americans. And even Hillary hates the Russians and now wants to blame Russia for her loss because she can't believe that Americans can see through her lying, untrustworthy, money-grubbing, non-charitable character. Good old Harry Reid, another Democrat truth teller. You remember him, the one who was all into those desert tortoises, or at least so he said, having nothing to do, of course, with money and solar power and his son-in-law and the Chinese. He's calling for Jim Comey to step down because he says that Comey and the FBI knew the Russians were hacking into the election. Obviously, Mr. One Eye knows more than the FBI themselves. Now I got a news flash. Everybody's been spying on everybody else for years. Even Obama knows Angela Merkel's hair appointments. Remember how angry she was when she found out that he had her emails? The difference is now they do it by cyber attacks. Don't be fooled by these narratives. It's all part of an orchestrated effort to build a wall to prevent Donald Trump from making America great again and building a relationship with a country that is fighting ISIS. And don't get me wrong, I despise all dictators. But between the dictator that thinks I'm an infidel and therefore you and I and our families should have our heads cut off, and the dictator from whom I simply want to keep my distance, who now and then might warn me of our common enemy, the choice is a no-brainer. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter. #Judge Jeanine.